Imagine a scenario where the absolute smartest person in the room just goes completely bankrupt.
Or, the fastest runner trips and falls.
Right. Trips right at the finish line and loses to a total amateur. Or like the quiet hero who single-handedly saves an entire city from destruction is completely forgotten by the very next morning.
Yeah, nobody even remembers them.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds like the plot of some deeply frustrating dystopian novel.
Right.
But actually, it's the core reality presented in one of the oldest, most profound texts in human history.
It really is. And it directly challenges, the way almost every single one of us operates on a daily basis.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are tearing down a foundational myth that you probably don't even realize is running your life.
Yeah, operating completely in the background.
Right. We are exploring the ancient wisdom found in the 9th chapter of Ecclesiastes, and our mission today is ambitious.
Very ambitious.
We want to strip away your illusions of control, figure out how you can actually navigate a wildly unpredictable world without losing your mind, and then, and this is the big one, spend a significant amount of time unpacking how this deeply uncomfortable truth is secretly the key to strengthening your trust in God.
It is a profound shift in perspective. But to get there, we really have to start by confronting a cognitive bias that psychologists call the just world fallacy.
The just world fallacy, okay.
Yeah, it's basically this biological and psychological wiring that makes you desperately want the universe to make mathematical sense.
Right. A plus B equals C.
Exactly. We need to believe that good inputs guarantee good outputs. It keeps us feeling safe,
I kind of call it the vending machine illusion.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, think about how you treat life. You treat it like a giant cosmic vending machine. You put your coin of good behavior in the slot.
Eat your kale, save your money.
Right. You eat your kale, you save 20% of your income, you are kind to your neighbors, you don't cheat on your taxes. You press the button for the happy, predictable life, and you expect it to just drop down into the tray.
And then it doesn't.
Right. And when life hands you a massive, unpredictable crisis instead, you just get furious.
You start shaking the vending machine. And Ecclesiastes basically kicks that vending machine right over.
Wow.
Yeah, the text drops this heavy, unvarnished truth right out of the gate in the first few verses. The exact same fate happens to everyone.
Death.
Death is the great equalizer. It explicitly points out that there is one event for the righteous and the wicked.
For the good person and the corrupt person.
Exactly. For the religious and the irreligious. Your moral purity or your discipline, it doesn't grant you some magical force field against tragedy or mortality.
You know, it's funny you say that because my immediate reaction to that is just complete dread. Yeah. If my good behavior doesn't protect me, my instinct is to just throw my hands up and quit. Like, why even try to be a good person if the vending machine is just going to eat my coin anyway?
Right.
Isn't that incredibly discouraging?
Well, that is the natural knee-jerk reaction for sure.
Yeah.
But the intent of this ancient wisdom isn't nihilism. It's not saying nothing matters.
Okay.
It is absolute grounding realism. Think about your own life for a second. How much anxiety, how much bitterness are you currently carrying because you're expecting perfect fairness from a broken world?
Oh, a lot. I mean, we all do.
Right. When you do the right thing and still suffer, your brain goes into a literal panic because your safety mechanism, the formula we talk about, has failed.
Yeah, the math didn't math.
Exactly. This text is trying to cure that panic.
Yeah.
Expecting perfect fairness just leads to constant, exhausting disappointment.
So true.
Accepting that life does not operate on a basic reward system is the first necessary step toward liberating yourself from that anxiety.
So you basically have to shatter the illusion before you can actually build anything real.
Yes.
You cannot build a resilient life on the false premise that you are the general manager of the universe.
Precisely. Trying to control the uncontrollable just drives people mad.
Okay, but let's take that to its logical conclusion. If life isn't fair, and death is this great equalizer coming for us all regardless of our behavior,
Right.
it would be really easy to assume the takeaway is that nothing matters. Just lay on the couch.
But the wisdom actually pivots and argues the exact opposite.
It does.
It's a brilliant pivot. It introduces this really jarring ancient proverb. It says, "A living dog is better than a dead lion."
Okay, we need to contextualize that because if you say living dog to someone today, they picture like a golden retriever sleeping on an expensive orthopedic bed.
Yeah, eating organic treats.
Right. Not exactly an insult.
True, but in the ancient Near East, dogs were not pampered pets.
What were they?
They were wild scavengers roaming the streets. They were considered unclean and generally despised.
No.
Yeah. The lion, on the other hand, was the undisputed apex predator, the ultimate symbol of royalty, power, and majesty.
Okay, so the dog is the bottom of the barrel, and the lion is the top.
Exactly. But the wisdom here is stating a profound truth about agency. I don't care how majestic, powerful, or successful you were, once you are a dead lion, you have zero agency.
Because you're dead.
Right. The dead know nothing. Their memory is forgotten. But that living dog, that scavenger scraping by in the dirt,
It's still alive.
that dog still has breath. That dog has a tomorrow. And where there is breath, there is hope and the potential for change.
This directly targets a modern habit that I think ruins so many lives, the habit of chronic procrastination.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't just mean putting off an email. I mean putting off actually living. We fall into this when-then trap.
The when-then trap.
Yeah, or I'll take that trick when I get promoted. I'll finally enjoy my evenings when I have $50,000 in the bank.
I'll wear the nice clothes when I lose 10 pounds.
Exactly. We are waiting for a certainty and a safety that is literally never going to arrive.
Which is exactly the trap being warned against.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a guarantee of tomorrow, the text issues these deeply urgent commands to the living.
What does it say?
It says, to eat your bread with joy, drink your wine with a merry heart, let your garments always be white, and put oil on your head.
White garments and oil.
Yeah, in that culture, white garments and oil were symbols of intense festivity and celebration.
So it's a command to celebrate right now, not later when the conditions are perfect.
Yes, you won't always have these opportunities. You don't need perfect clarity to live meaningfully.
That's powerful.
The directive is that whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. Progress requires movement. Life is happening in this exact second, not in some hypothetical, perfectly secure future that you are trying to engineer.
All right, let me pause you there. Because let's say I'm entirely on board.
Okay.
I realize the vending machine is broken. I stop procrastinating my joy. I decide to take action, and I do it with all my might.
Right.
I put my blood, sweat, and tears into my career, my family, my goals. But what happens when that intense, mighty effort still isn't rewarded?
Oh, yeah.
Because if we are honest, we live in a culture that worships the idea of a meritocracy. We fundamentally believe the hardest workers get the biggest prizes.
And that is the next myth that gets dismantled. The wisdom observes the reality under the sun. It says the race is not to the swift, the battle is not to the strong, bread does not always go to the wise, and wealth doesn't always go to the brilliant.
Which is so frustrating to hear.
Right, because statistically, logically, the fastest runner should win. But there is a chaotic variable introduced. The text says time and chance happen to them all.
Time and chance. That is the phrase that keeps me up at night.
It compares us to fish caught in a net or birds caught in a snare.
Oof.
Sometimes a sudden, completely unpredictable circumstance falls upon you, and it completely overrides all of your skill, all of your strength, and all of your meticulous preparation.
This brings to mind the story of the poor wise man in the text, which is perhaps the ultimate anti-LinkedIn story.
The ultimate anti-LinkedIn story. I love that.
I mean, it is. You have this small city, and a massive, powerful king comes to destroy it.
Right.
But inside the city is this poor, wise man who uses his wisdom to completely deliver the city. He saves everyone.
Everyone.
And then he is completely forgotten. Nobody remembers him.
Tragic.
In our modern era, where if you don't post about your victory on social media to build your personal brand, it basically didn't happen.
Right. Pixar, it didn't happen.
Exactly. This is an incredibly bitter pill to swallow. How are you supposed to keep doing the right thing when your impact is totally invisible?
That raises a critical question about how you are defining your own value. Are you defining your worth by the external recognition you receive?
Most people are.
Right. But the text makes a crucial observation. True value isn't defined by visibility.
Okay.
It argues that the quiet words of a wise person are inherently better than the loud shouting of a ruler among fools, even if that wisdom goes entirely unpraised. The poor man's wisdom saved lives. The lack of a trophy or a promotion or public applause didn't negate the objective reality of his impact.
So if we distill this down to a practical modern application, wrapping up this first half of our deep dive before we get into the really heavy spiritual lifting, it comes down to this. We have to actively detach our effort from guaranteed outcomes.
That is the core directive. You are called to do your absolute best. You are called to operate with wisdom, to celebrate the moment, and to work with all your might.
Right.
But your responsibility ends at the boundary of your effort. You must accept the profound uncertainty of the result. The outcome belongs to time and chance.
Okay, we have laid out the practical reality of living in an unpredictable world, and we've done it quickly.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We've shattered the vending machine, embraced the urgency of the living dog, and detached our effort from the outcome. But now I want to pivot and spend the rest of our time on the deep spiritual fallout of this.
Let's do it.
Because I hear everything you are saying, but if you tell me I have no control over the outcome of my life, my anxiety spikes.
Naturally.
If time and chance can just wreck my plans at any moment, where does faith fit into this?
This is where we arrived at the most profound paradigm shift. To understand how faith functions here, we have to look at the foundational truth that frames all of this ancient wisdom.
Which is?
Before any mention of time, chance, dead lions, or forgotten wise men, the text establishes one ultimate reality. It says the righteous, the wise, and their works are in the hand of God.
In the hand of God. Let me tell you why that phrasing sparked a massive realization for me.
Yeah.
If life were a guaranteed formula, if doing A and B always mathematically equaled C, we wouldn't actually need to trust God at all.
Right.
We would just trust the formula. We would worship the equation.
That is a phenomenal insight. Think about what an equation worshiper looks like when tragedy strikes.
Oh, it's a disaster.
When the formula fails, they don't just experience sadness, they experience a complete spiritual collapse.
Because their entire worldview is broken.
Exactly. They get bitter, they blame themselves for not perfectly executing the formula, or they become furious at God because they feel a transaction has been violated. Like, I did A, I did B, therefore you owe me C.
Exactly. It's not a relationship, it's a contract.
And a contract requires no faith, only compliance. This is where we see the transition from a transactional faith to a relational faith.
Okay, unpack that a little bit.
By forcing you to accept your own limitations, and by exposing you to the terrifying reality of unpredictability, you are actually freed from the crushing burden of trying to play God.
Wow.
You are no longer responsible for managing the universe.
I hear you, but honestly, that feels like a very privileged perspective.
How so?
Well, it is easy to say, don't worry about the outcome. Just trust the relationship when things are going relatively well.
Sure.
But what about the person listening right now who is facing a totally unfair health crisis or bankruptcy, or who is watching terribly corrupt people succeed while they suffer? Isn't telling them, hey, it's just time and chance, but you're in God's hands, isn't that a bit dismissive of their pain?
It would be dismissive if the ancient wisdom didn't acknowledge the sheer agony of that experience. But it absolutely does.
It does.
This isn't about slapping a happy bumper sticker on tragedy. The psychological distress of seeing the wicked prosper and the righteous suffer is a major theme across ancient spiritual texts.
Give me an example.
Take Psalm 73, for example. The author, Asaph, experiences a profound existential crisis. He says, "My feet had almost slipped. I'd nearly lost my foothold."
Why? What happened?
Because he looked around and saw arrogant, corrupt people thriving, completely free from the burdens that regular people face.
So he experienced the exact cognitive dissonance we were talking about. The vending machine was dispensing rewards to the people putting counterfeit coins in.
Yes, and it almost destroyed his faith. He literally says, "Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure."
Man, that's heavy.
He was on the verge of walking away entirely because the mathematical equation of his faith was broken. It wasn't just spiritual doubt. It was a threat to his entire worldview.
So how does he get out of that tailspin? Because a lot of people listening are in that exact tailspin right now.
He doesn't get out of it by suddenly understanding why bad things happen or by life suddenly becoming fair.
Okay.
He gets out of it by changing his vantage point. He says that this was completely oppressive to him until he entered the sanctuary of God.
The sanctuary.
In that space, his perspective shifted from the immediate earthly scoreboard to the eternal scoreboard. He realized that the current outcome is not the final outcome.
The immediate scoreboard is governed by time and chance, but the final scoreboard is in the hands of God.
Exactly. And this realization echoes across other wisdom literature as well. Look at Psalm 90, which is essentially a meditation on our severe limitations.
What does that one say?
It asks for the wisdom to number our days. When you internalize how brief and fragile your time actually is, you stop wasting it, demanding an explanation for every unfair event, and you start applying your heart to actual wisdom.
Wow.
You focus on the depth of your character rather than the height of your achievements.
That reminds me of Psalm 37 too. It feels like a survival manual for navigating a world where the wrong people seem to be winning.
It really is. It repeatedly warns against fretting because of evildoers.
Fretting. That's a great word.
Fretting is that internal churning anxiety when you are fixated on the unfairness of it all. Instead of fretting, it offers a different path. It says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him.
Just keep going.
Right. It advocates for a steady, quiet faithfulness. You do good, you dwell in the land, you cultivate faithfulness, regardless of what the person next to you is getting away with.
So synthesizing all of this, wait, let me rephrase that. So bringing this all together, what we are really talking about is a total reconstruction of how we view our lives and our spirituality. When you realize that time and chance are real, terrifying, chaotic forces in this world, but that ultimately your works, your life, and your very soul are held securely in the hand of God, your entire paradigm shifts.
It has to.
You essentially resign from the exhausting position of general manager of the universe.
You resign.
Yeah.
You stop trying to manipulate outcomes through perfect behavior. You stop viewing God as a vending machine that you have to appease, and you start trusting the character of the one who holds you.
That's beautiful.
The anxiety of the just world fallacy just melts away because your peace is no longer dependent on the world being perfectly fair. Your peace is dependent on the relationship.
We have covered some serious ground today.
We really have.
We started by looking at the harsh, jarring reality that life simply isn't fair, and we smashed the cosmic vending machine.
Pieces everywhere.
Right. We discovered that because death is the ultimate equalizer, there is an urgent, beautiful command to live fully in the present moment, to not delay your joy waiting for perfect conditions.
The living dog.
Yes, the living dog. We learned from the forgotten poor wise man that we have to fiercely detach our internal value from public recognition and our effort from guaranteed outcomes. And finally, we realized that abandoning our illusion of control isn't a defeat.
Not at all.
It is actually the necessary doorway to genuine relational trust in God.
If there is one new, provocative thought I would love to leave you to mull over, it is this.
Okay, lay it on us.
If time and chance are real, but you were ultimately in the hands of God,
Mm.
what if your biggest, most painful failure, the moment you did everything right, followed all the rules, and the vending machine still ate your coin?
Yeah.
What if that wasn't a failure at all? What if that exact moment was actually a quiet rescue?
A quiet rescue.
What if you were being saved from a success that would have ultimately ruined you or kept you worshiping the equation instead of the creator? There is a profound freedom in realizing that you do not have the vantage point to judge what is ultimately good or bad for your story. You are only responsible for the integrity of your actions right now.
I absolutely love that perspective. A failure that was actually a quiet rescue. So, with all of this ancient wisdom and modern reality laid out before you, the only thing left to ask is how will you apply this information in your life?